Hello everyone, I'm Ifoma. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be making this beautiful shift dress with a kimono neckline. So if this looks like what you are interested in, keep watching. And make sure to like, comment and to subscribe to our channel. So to begin, these are all the measurements to be needed. Your length, your bust circumference plus 2 or 3 inches, depending on how free you want your own to be. Your hip, your together shoulder, and your round sleeve. Okay, so the first how you're going to get your fold for your fabric is to divide your um shoulder measurement, your together shoulder measurement by 2 inches. You're going to divide it by two and then you're going to mark it. All right, so then you're going to come down your shoulder for the shoulder slope by 1 inch because you know our shoulder is not straight. All right, so after that, the next thing you're going to do is to input your sleeve measurements. Of course, you're going to put like 2 or 3 inches to it for it to be very free. Then on that line, you're going to input your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So when you're done doing that, you're just going to connect it to the sleeve as you see me doing like this. Then the next thing you're going to do is to get our hip line. And when we have gotten our hip line, we're just going to input our hip measurement and also add a 1 inch sewing allowance to it. Then you connect all the points together, giving your waist a little curve. And then for the length, you're just going to input your length measurement and we are going to add a 2 inches folding allowance to it. So that is what you see me doing. I just got my length and I added a 2 inches folding allowance. Then I'm going to connect everything in A-line form. It's not going to be a pencil gown. It's going to be an A-line, so it's going to allow it gives space for movement. And then the next thing I'm going to do is the neckline. So for the wideness of the neckline, we are using 3 inches. And then for the depth, we're just going to connect this place, connect it to the neckline for the shoulder slope. Then for the depth of the neck, you're going to use your half length, your shoulder to half length, minus 1 inch. Okay, so that means if your half length is 18 inches, you're going to use 17 inches for the depth of the front neckline. So that is what you see me marking like this. And then on that line, you are going to start measuring 1.5 inches inward. From the line, you're going to measure 1.5 inches to the neck. And you're going to connect it with a straight line. That will be the space to add the kimono neckline. So after doing this, you're just going to cut this out and we are going to head straight to cutting the back part. So for the back, we're just going to place the front on top and trace out the same thing that we cut for the back, for the front. So this is me just aligning the front and back together so I can trace it out. So when I was done tracing it out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the depth for the back neckline and I did 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to cut it out together with the front. This is the depth for the back. Remember, this is still together, the front and the back. And then for the front, that line that we marked before, that is where we are going to cut. But this time, we are going to cut only the front. And then you're going to connect that line, that 1.5 line we marked before, you're going to connect it to the neck. So that means you're not cutting straight on that 1.5 inches we have marked. Okay, so just look closely to what I'm doing. You're going to understand it. But while cutting it, make sure you're cutting only the front fabric. So when you are done cutting it out, this is what it should look like. Okay, so we are done cutting the fabric, and now we are going to cut out the band and the kimono neckline. And I just measured 5 inches on another fabric. You can decide to use the same fabric. Is your choice. So this is just a straight fabric. I just measured 5 inches, and I'm cutting out 2 pieces of 5 inches fabric. So one is going to be for the neckline and one is going to be for the sleeve. So this is it. And you're going to make sure the fabric is long enough to go around your neckline. Okay, so if you have to measure it, you can do that. But this one, I know that this length 45 of our African fabric is going to be enough for my round neckline. All right, so what I just did is I gummed the pieces. You can use anything. You can use a body gum. You can use your gum stay, depending on what works for you. So I just gum it I just interfaced it and I folded it into two equal parts. So that is what you're seeing for both the band and the round neckline. So let's move over to the sewing machine and start sewing our dress. Right on the sewing machine, the first thing we did was to notch the center back, all right, the neck of the center back. And then next, we are to join the front and the back together on the shoulder, like you see me doing. So you're just going to join the both sides using 0.5 inches. So when we are done doing that, the next thing we are going to do is the band, the round neckline, the band for the round neckline. We're just going to fold it into two and notch the middle. Make sure it's equal. Notch the center part. Give it a little notch. So the next thing you're going to do is to go down to the tearing at the front, and you're going to measure from the end of the cut, you're going to measure 1 inch downwards on the both sides. 1 inch downwards on the both sides. The essence of doing this is to make sure that is the neckline is going to be equal, is going to balance, and is going to be on a straight line. So when you have measured this, you're just going to connect it with your chalk or with anything, any with any marking tool you have. You're going to mark it so that when you are joining your neckline, you will know that that is exactly where you stop. Then the next thing we're going to do is to sew our neckline. To do this, you're going to fold the band for the neckline into two equal parts. You're going to fold it, you're going to make sure it's equal. Fold it using the notch you put at the middle. And then you are going to open it up as you see me doing like this. You are going to measure your neckline. Me, I like using 14 inches so it will not be exposing my breast or it will not be choking me. So if you can use 15 inches if you are very tall and if you want your breast to be showing, or you can use 13 or 12 if you want it choked up. So I'm using 14 to sew mine because I don't want it to choke and I don't want to show my breast. So while joining it together, you have to make sure you're sewing on the middle. So when you are done doing that, you are just going to flip it over to the right side. All right, this is what it looks like when you are done. So that hole there is where you are going to put your head. And that is your kimono neckline. So this dress is almost ready at this point. So the next thing you're going to do is to start joining it to the neckline of your actual dress. So you're going to place your dress like this, and remember the notch we put at the center back, the neck of the center back. So that notch is where you're going to place the notch for the kimono neckline. So you're going to place this notch, the band notch, to the notch of the back and neckline. You're going to place the two of them together. Make sure they are equal, and you're going to start sewing this. So you're going to sew this band with a 0.5 inches allowance. So it doesn't shorten, it doesn't widen your neckline. So you're going to make sure you're sewing with 0.5 inches. And also make sure you're sewing it straight. All right, so remember the mark, that place that we marked, that is the exact place you are going to stop. You're going to stitch it over there, double stitch, so it doesn't lose. Then when you are done doing that, you are going to flip the dress over to the other side. So this is just me making sure that the band is aligning at the same point. I just gave it a little notch just to be on the safer side. So the next thing you might want to do is to flip the dress to the other side and then start sewing the other side exactly the same way you sewed the first part. Make sure you are sewing with 0.5 inches and make sure you are sewing on a straight line to get a neat finishing. So when you get to the end, you're going to make sure that you also top stitch, you double stitch on that exact line, that line that we marked earlier. So after doing that, this is how it should look. The band should be as relaxed as this, not squeezed, but very relaxed. All right, so this is how it should look. Now, the next thing you want to do is to notch this part. You're going to notch the both corners of the neckline to give it a relaxed look. So you're going to notch on your actual fabric, and the notch is going to end at that place you double stitched. Please be careful so you don't tear your fabric. You're going to do the same for the other side. All right, so after notching it, as you can see, the fabric has relaxed on its own after the notch. So the next thing you want to do is to arrange it with your hand and then hold it with an affix pin. And then you're going to sew that part down. So when you are sewing it, you're going to make sure it's very close to the end of the notch. Make sure you are sewing very close to the end of the notch. That way it's going to give it a good look. There will be no space for excess fabric. You're going to start from the end of the first notch to the end of the other notch. So after that, this is how it should look. Alright, so when you flip it to the right side, this is how it should look. So neat and perfect. So the next thing you're going to do is to join the band to the sleeve. Join the other band to the both sleeves. You might want to make sure it's very straight to get a finished look. And you're joining the band with 0.5 inches. So after that, the next thing you do is to shape your fabric. You have to shape your dress, put your pocket because it's a shift dress. So pocket is very important in shift dresses. Put your pocket, shape your dress, fold it down, the hem, and that will be all. You remember you added a 1 inch sewing allowance to it. So you're going to shape it using that 1 inch sewing allowance you added. The what you see me doing is the pocket part. I'm just fixing my pocket here. Pocket is optional, but is very important in shift dresses. So at this point, our dress is almost ready. So this is it. Our dress is ready. Our dress is so ready. And look at it, looking so relaxed. The neckline is so beautiful. So write a message to me on my comment section if you're going to try this out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And see you guys next time. Bye.